Everybody, welcome in here. All right, A to Z Sports Picks. Brad and I can have a great show for you this Friday. Get you all set up for the betting weekend, and this is kind of the weekend before the weekend. Brian, my man, looking sharp as always, buddy. How we doing?
Doing good, man. Just still slightly bitter about the officiating in the AFC Championship game, but I'm almost
What
over it.
was it a
Right?
problem?
Right? And by the way, every time I say that this week, I feel like people were asking me, "You didn't think he was out of bounds?" I'm not talking about the late hit. I know it was a late hit, although the left tackle was holding Hubbard for like 5 minutes on the same play. But no, I'm talking about like a half dozen plays before that. But anyway,
Yeah, it was pure insanity. When you start getting redos and all kinds of stuff. I know, man. Everybody, welcome in A to Z Sports Picks. I'm Al Bell, CBS Sports Live, alongside Brian Edwards of VegasInsider.com. A to Z Sports Picks brought to you every Friday by BetMGM, the king of sports books. All right, BetMGM, refer a friend invitation right now, okay? Grab that app, score a $50 bonus when your friend signs up via your invitation, all right? So get in the app, get your code there. They get $50, you get $50, all right? And you can refer up to 20 friends for up to $1,000 in bonuses. Brian, how nice would $1,000 in free bets for the Super Bowl be?
it'd be outstanding. Come on, Florida.
It would be, it would be outstanding. All right. So that is BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Must be 21 years or older. Must be present in the state of Tennessee. For gambling problem support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789. All right. So, Brian, what I want to do today, let's start with Super Bowl 57. All right. Now, these aren't, the complete list, final. These are our bets for the game. But I do want to get ahead of it. We've got, spreads, totals, obviously. Player props out, team props, game props. Let's just get started here with what we have so far. So, you know what? Kind of like the coin toss, dude. You won the toss. Do you want to go first, or do you
Sure.
want to defer to me?
Yeah, I'll go first. So, um, and listeners know this. I've been riding this Eagles team total in the first half a lot this year with a lot of success. Went away from it there for a minute when Jalen got hurt, but have been back on it here the last 2 weeks, and it's a little lower now. We we had 10.5 last week, which was the lowest of the season. Um, I'm assuming it was the lowest of the season. I wasn't really
Yeah, it was.
monitoring it the first
Yeah,
week or
it
two.
was.
Yeah, but yeah, it's 12.5 this time. So, if an extra point misses or they settle for 2 field goals and a touchdown, we could still win on 13. But the Eagles have had 14 points by halftime in 16 of their 19 games. So team total first half over 12.5. It was priced at minus 125 when I bet it.
I think it's actually
Early.
gone down a little bit. I think
Oh,
it's at
good.
like minus
Good.
120. Yeah.
Even better. Okay, I was about to look it up because I haven't looked at it in the last couple days because I plugged it in there early. Um, and I haven't given a good look to the touchdown props. That I like to go on the Super Bowl. I like to do ones with long odds. I had Odell Beckham last year. I had Devin Hester in the Bears Colts, which is goodness, been almost 2 decades ago. I had Brandon LaFell in one of the Patriots Giants games. It was 18-1. Hester was 25-1, and I had Anquan Bolden 12-1 in New Orleans when San Fran and the Ravens played. So I haven't decided. By the way, I did Kadarius Toney kind of the last minute last week at 13-1, and he dropped that touchdown pass. Doggone it. So I'm sure that I'm going to give it back to you, and I'm going to go look at the touchdown odds because I haven't even looked at them yet. But I will definitely have one for next week, and I might have one here in a minute as I throw it back to you.
Yeah. And, we got plenty of time, obviously. I mean, the game's not until next Sunday. So I've got a couple here. All right, first up, Eagles first half. Team total over 12.5. You nailed it. Like, the Eagles have been doing this all season long. Why stop now? Like, we've been riding this thing. Why would we stop? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Got to keep going. Yeah, I mean, got to keep going with that. We're also going to play the Chiefs second half. Team total over 12.5. I could see a scenario where Philly's up. Kansas City looking to make a comeback. Yeah. Like, here's the weird thing. The Eagles haven't had to play a second half in almost a month. Like, they're always up. Like I
Yeah,
mean, even the both playoff games, the second half the game was over.
it
You know
will
what I
be a
mean?
month. Once we get to next week, it will be a month since they've had to
Yep,
play a second half.
you're right. Now, all right. So Eagles first half team total over 12 and a half. Chiefs second half team total over 12 and a half. Now, you want to know a stat? Can I give you a stat, Brian?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The Eagles led the NFC in points per game this season, regular season, 28.1 points per game. Okay. The Chiefs led the AFC in the regular season, points per game, 29.1 per game. All right. Now, that's the regular season. If you take each team's regular season games and their playoff games, all right, add up all the points, both teams have scored exactly 546 points this year.
Wow.
Exactly. That's how
That's crazy.
close. Yeah, that's how close both of these teams are. Now, Philly's coming in healthy, 100%. Their defense led the NFL in sacks this year. Kansas City, questions of them being banged up, but you have 2 weeks, right? So I'm not even going to really concern myself. So anyways, let me get back to it. I just want to get that stat there. All right, so Eagles first half, team total over 12 and a half. Chiefs second half, team total over 12 and a half. Also, I'm going to play Eagles and Chiefs, both teams to score 20-plus points.
I like
It
that.
might be 23-20. It might be 24-21, but I think both teams are going to score 20-plus points. So
What are the odds?
three.
What are the odds? I like that. What are the odds on that?
Minus 125.
Yeah, I like that. I got to find that one.
Yeah, and let me tell you this. So the reason that I'm doing it is twofold. One, I like the bet, right? I just like the bet. But number two, right, through the divisional round and the championship round, those 6 games, all 6 hit the under. Okay? Now, we have a total of, 48 and a half as we sit here. And I don't hate it. I don't like it.
Wait. Total for the game?
Yeah.
50 and 1/2. You said
40.
48.
Sorry. 51 half. Sorry. So this is a way to play the over without having to play the over.
Right, and not as many points. Or
Yeah.
44 would get you there.
100%. Now you gotta have
both. Yeah, 20 each.
For both teams, but still, like I don't see a scenario where either team is just stuck, like just cannot, 49ers second half just cannot move, right? So I'm kind of using it as my way to play the over. So yeah, those are the 3 that I have, man, right there. Any thoughts that you have?
Yeah, so I was looking for them, and I finally found them.
Yeah.
Right. So the first touchdown scorer. I mean, I'm not going to say for sure, but Devontae Smith at 13-1 looks attractive because that's definitely a possibility.
All right, hold on. Pause right there. Pause it, and I want to get back to it.
Yeah.
So who's going to ball out in this game? And I'm not saying you have to pick the MVP, but let's take Hurts, Mahomes out of it. All right, we get it. Quarterbacks, we get it. You're basically looking at Kelsey, Devontae, AJ, yep, Miles Sanders. And you could, keep going on the Chiefs side. Like, who do you like, man? Like, who do you think's gonna have a big game? And I know it's kind of just an ambiguous question, but
well, I mean, I think we nailed the Kelsey, Devontae, and AJ, and because you really can't hone in on the backs because it's kind of hard to tell, who's going to get the most touches out of the backfield. I mean, Boston Scott had a touchdown last week. It seems like I'm looking for it. The other guy, not Miles Sanders, obviously, but Gainwell out of Memphis.
Gainwell.
He's been getting more touches, and I haven't really looked at I don't have the statistics in front of me to prove that, but I mean,
you bring up a good point. And again, I don't mean to interrupt you. Like the Eagles have 5 dudes, like because Jalen can run too, right? Like our man Parker says, look, Isaiah Pacheco first TD. Like, yeah, man, like it's a little more defined on the Chiefs side than it is the Eagles. Eagles is tough. Yeah.
8-1 is what I'm seeing on Pacheco. Yeah. Sanders is the favorite, plus 650, and Jalen and Kelsey are at plus 700 or 7-1.
Well, look at this, and real quick, and I interrupted you again. You've got
go ahead.
You've got the Chiefs who threw the most touchdown passes in the NFL this season, and you got the Eagles who had the most rushing touchdowns in the NFL this season. So, I mean, there you go. Like That's the hard part. Is like it's been very, very defined, but it could flip. Like the Chiefs could easily score like 75% of their touchdowns on the ground because they're that talented, and the Eagles could score 75% of their touchdowns in the air because they're that talented. So I just want to
I,
put that side up this
I just one little point that it just popped to mind. So just because, like, if you look at the stats of Philadelphia skill players here the last two games, throw that out. Throw that out. Those games were over like early mid second quarter.
Yep,
They were just trying to run the clock and get the hell out of there.
they
They
were
had
over.
big
Yeah,
leads. Those games were over. So in terms of your just when you're researching, what you want to do on prop bets, throw these last two results for Philadelphia out. I mean, San Fran didn't have a quarterback, and they just mauled the Giant. What were they up 28 to zip like that? I mean,
yeah.
real pretty. I mean, by
It
early
was
mid second.
over. Both
Yeah, it
games
was
were
over.
over at halftime.
So throw those two sets of those two data points of statistics for Philadelphia skill players. Throw them out. I mean, those are irrelevant because this game. I mean, I'll be really surprised if it's not super close.
Yeah,
If not the whole, probably the whole way is what I'm thinking. And those were blowouts. And so, in other words, AJ Brown has not hit his over on his receiving yards, but he hit it the last four regular season games with ease, like flew over. So just because he hasn't had big, and he got plenty of touches in the first half when they were still, being aggressive, throwing the ball, etc. But he just didn't have the yards he normally does. But I think that'll change in this game. I'm not looking at his over under on receiving yards right now, but I would hope it's come down a little bit because of these last two pretty, lackluster production. But it's
yeah, and it's
normally
been Devontae getting them all.
right, right. Yeah. So again, I'm not going to commit to it right now, but the Devontae at did I say 13-1 earlier? Or you know what? It might have just switched it. I think I said 13. It's 12-1 right now, and I
Yeah.
did see some lights going up on my monitor up here, so it might have just changed. Oh, I wonder if they're listening. I wonder if they're listening to the A to Z Sports Pick Show.
I think they are. I think they are. All right, let's move over to the NBA. Let's talk NBA here now. Let me say this: the last 2 weeks, unders have been crushing in
Yeah,
the NBA. It's
and
like
that's been a new
59%.
development.
Yeah, it's like 59%. Now, I, I don't know if it's necessarily the scoring hasn't been as high. It hasn't been as high, certainly, but I think the books have also been juicing the numbers up. And I don't say that like they're doing like something like bad. Like
Right.
they're just
They're
higher
tired of
total.
getting beat on overs, and
Yeah.
well, I mean, we got totals in the 240s, like one or two a night, or maybe even more than that, like
Oh yeah.
regularly.
Yeah.
But back 15 years ago, or when we had like Anthony Mason and Ewing and Oakley, those Knicks Pacers playoff series, those totals would be in the 160s, like low 170s, upper 160s. That's how much the NBA has changed.
The game has changed.
Well, the game's changed, and they don't let you get away with the physicality that they did back then. And if you try to play like that, you're on the free throw line and bonus
Could you imagine
situations
seeing a
early.
total at 168 and a half?
Right? I mean, the lowest totals in the NBA these days are 220s in Heat and Mavs games, pretty much. Um,
Yeah, they
and,
are.
and the
Yeah.
Mavs totals are starting to go up a little bit now, but
Yeah.
yeah,
So all right. So take a look at the NBA tonight. All right. This could be spreads, totals, player props, anything. Right? Anything. And again, you won the coin toss. I'll throw over to you. You can take it. You can run first. You can defer to me. What are your thoughts here? Who do you want to go first here?
yeah, I'm gonna go with the Wizards tonight,
Yeah.
who are suddenly playing uh, good ball. They've won six in a row, both straight up and against the spread. Um, and they return home tonight. They've had 3 days off. Went 4-0 on a road trip that ended on January 30th. So they've had 2 extra days of rest and preparation compared to Portland. They're playing the Trailblazers, and Yusuf Nurkic is out for the Trailblazers. With a calf injury, he averages 13.8 points, 9.4 rebounds, and 2.9 assists per game. And I'm not saying Jeremy Grant is going to be out. He's questionable, but there's a chance he might be out. He averages 21.2 points and 4.2 rebounds per game. And look, I like the Wizards whether Grant plays or not, but I love him if he does play. Now, I got it at 4 this morning. I noticed about a half hour ago as I pull up my odds here. Yeah, a lot of books are at 3.5 now, which makes me think maybe possibly there's some news that Grant's going to play. But again, I like the Wizards regardless, and we're getting a better number. And maybe that's not the case. Maybe that's just money coming in on Portland, who is also in good form right now. But Wizards back at home, 3 days off, 2 extra days of rest and preparation against Portland, who's not been very good on the road this season. I'm also going to go with the Spurs and Sixers over 234. This is a really low total for the Spurs, who have been getting most of their totals in the 240s. Now, Embiid is questionable, so
I was gonna say this is a low total for Philly as well. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
and I mean that's why, and also Jones is out for the Spurs. I mean he averages only 12.8 points per game, but I mean the Spurs, they don't defend at all,
At all.
at all. And this, here I was gonna here. Let me,
Well, let me say this while you're looking that up,
yeah, go ahead.
because I've been looking all day and they haven't dropped them out yet. Uh, whatever James Harden's points props are, and I know that they kind of got to figure out Embiid, with his status. You could feed them all to me because I believe Harden is going to be a little pissed off after that All-Star snub last night. Yeah, like I think this is a good night to bet on James Harden. That's all I'm going to say. Keep going, sir.
No, you're fine. Okay. So this over is 21-6 in the Spurs last 27 games, and in terms of how low the total is, so their last game was 244.5. The one before that was 240 in one half. 2 games before that, they had a 245 and then a 241. So like I said, a lot of these have been in the 240s lately. We're getting it slightly decreased. Obviously, I like it more if Embiid plays, but also if he doesn't play, that's your rim protector you won't have as well. But I mean, I'd rather have the 30 points offensively per game or whatever he's averaging right now. So those are two I'm committed to already. And again, the over on Philly Spurs is really just a small opinion until we know about Embiid, which might not be until a half hour before the game. I'm not against anything Celtics tonight. I haven't played it yet. Um, no Marcus Smart, but I mean, they've normally been without a couple of horses for big portions of the season. So just one, and Smart's their best perimeter defender. So,
You know what? I'll
maybe,
tell you what. I'm glad you said that because I'm going to
yeah,
start right there. I'm taking the
yeah,
over 220 in that game because exactly what you just said. Smart is their best perimeter defender. And you know what? The Celtics are going to score their points. The Suns just got embarrassed the other night, and I think that not that they're
yeah,
going to
they
come
did.
out. Yeah, not that they're going to come out, and set the
My
world on
Hawks,
fire. But exactly, yeah, you're Hawks. You're Hawks, man.
we've been a disappointment, but they balled out the other night.
Dude, they did ball out. But yeah, I think you're going to get a much better approach from the Suns. I think that the Celtics are going to give up a few more buckets than they normally do, but Boston will still score. You know what I mean? And we're getting 220, pretty relatively low number there. So I'm going to play that. Second, Pacers team total over 115.5. Look, I think Sacramento, Indiana, it's going to be a hell of a game tonight. Right. I definitely think that it is. But I think that you're going to get some value here on the Pacers with that team total. I'm not saying that they cover. They could win this thing outright, to be completely honest with you. But I think it's going to be a hell of a game. And they haven't necessarily played that great as of late, but I think that they turn it up a little bit tonight. All right.
The Pacers, and they got Tyrese Halliburton back.
Exactly. Right. They got their dude back. Yeah. I think it's going to start to come back to form here a little bit.
Hey, one more thing on that game. De'Aaron Fox is out. I don't know if it's like,
what is it?
De'Aaron Fox is out for Sacramento. I don't know if his wife's Prego or something like that. It just says personal is the reasoning, averaging 24.3 points and 6.1 assists, but that does not affect your Pacers team total over.
Yeah, perfect. Great point there. All right, next one we're going to go. Wizards team total over 119 and a half. Look, Brian, I'm with you. I like the Wizards tonight. I like them in pretty much almost any spot that you can bet them. Yeah, so I'm kind of following right in line with you. I like their team total. And what do we have? Lastly here. Oh, sorry. Hornets Pistons under 239 and a half. This is a dangerous bet because the Hornets can score a lot of points quickly, but they also can get shut down. And I didn't like the end of their game last night against Chicago, and them going back to back here. I don't think this is going to be a great spot for both teams. So I'm going to play the under. So I'll get those four, and then also, like you said, I'm waiting on James Harden. Unfortunately, we don't have it right now, but yeah, dude. Like if it's anything reasonable, I'm smashing the hell out of his over because I think that think he might want to prove a point tonight. All right. So enough NBA.
Were you trying to imply he's going to be a little more of a high volume shooter like most of his career tonight, which
Yeah, I think he's going to be
he's
a
good.
little. He's going to be
Good
a
for
little
him. He
puny.
hasn't been as much of a high volume shooter this year. That's why they're
Look,
having a lot of success.
well, here's the crazy thing. All right, so I've given James Harden more crap than anybody because there have been times where you look at his non-deep like defensive, like his effort on the court. It's just been embarrassing.
I mean, in the playoffs, he doesn't hustle on defense. Not
Yeah.
even in the playoffs. Like you would think in the
Yeah.
playoffs, like maybe I will, put a
Yeah,
little more
I've been
effort
on him
in.
harder than anybody. But my God, his numbers this year, dude, they've been incredible. This dude has been near triple doubles, like night after night after night. Like, if there was one season where your dude deserved it, like I give my man his flowers. You know what I mean? Like, it surprised me. I was like, Jesus, dude, like this was a year he's had it. So, yeah. All right, let's end this thing up. College basketball. I'm gonna throw it over to you, dude. Lay out some games, some lines, some totals, whatever things that we need to know for tonight, this weekend. What you got?
Yeah. All righty. So, we've got some opening numbers for like 7 or 8 of the big games, so I'll share them now. So, Virginia Tech at home to Virginia, pick 'em total of 132 and a half. Rutgers -4 against Michigan State.
Your boys.
Yeah, 127 and a half point total. And I would be all over Rutgers in this spot if the game was at the RAC, Rutgers Athletic Center, but it's at MSG in NYC. And I don't know. I mean, the RAC is that's where they do their spread covering. And it just kind of worries me a little bit that they're or I'm sorry, yeah, just not at home. And not that the crowd is that big of a factor, but I'm sure some Sparty fans are going to make a trip, spend some time in NYC for the weekend. If it was at the RAC, like listen to what Rutgers has done in their last home games. They won by 35 to Minnesota, 20 to Penn State, 14 to Maryland, 24 to Wake Forest, and 15 to Indiana. I'm sorry, that's every home game except for Iowa, the one they lost outright. Sparty as an underdog this year, 4-5 against the spread. 2 outright wins, but they've lost their last 3 on the road by 16 at Purdue, 13 at Indiana, and by 9 at Illinois. So I still lean Rutgers. I'd feel a lot better about it if it was at the RAC. All right, Kansas at Iowa State. I lean Iowa State at home. It's a pick 'em. The total is 136. And I've got some Iowa State notes here from my podcast yesterday as I'm looking for them. Dadgummit. I'm going to come back to that because I couldn't find them just now. All right. Tennessee. Oh, and this is what I'll throw it back to you because I know you want to talk about this game. It's 9.5 to Auburn, which is a little steep, although Tennessee has won every home game except for the Kentucky game by 11 or more, if I'm not mistaken. I got it right here. Yeah, 10-1 straight up at home. I'm sorry, all wins by 9 or more. So, with the exception of one game, they've won by at least 9. But 9 would not help you in this instance because it's 9.5. I'll just rip through these. I'll have some thoughts and I'll throw it back to you. Oklahoma State -1 to TCU. Miles is hurt for TCU.
I think you're on mute. Nah, I still can't hear you. You're good. All right, so I'll talk on that Tennessee game real quick while let's see if he's got it. All right, I'll talk on the Tennessee game. Nah, I can't hear you. Yeah, there we go. There we go.
My apologies.
Go ahead.
All right. So K State -1 at home to Texas. Did I get out that Purdue was 1.5 at Indiana?
Yeah.
And then UNC Duke, Duke -3. I've been talking a long time. I'm gonna throw it back to you, but then throw it back to me because I got some opinions I want to share.
Yeah, I'll talk on Tennessee real quick. So obviously just got just whooped by your Gators the other night. And Tennessee, they'll have nights like that where their shots aren't falling, and it's nothing like I don't want to say it as well, Tennessee didn't show up. That's why they now Florida played a great game. Florida shot its tail off, played good defense, handled Tennessee. It looked a lot like that Kentucky game. You know what I mean? Like Tennessee looked out efforted, outshot, out coached, and all of that. But I also say for Tennessee fans, it's college basketball. Like nobody's like there's really not a dominant team other than maybe Purdue. Like other than that, like everybody's having stretches. Look at Kansas. They went on a stretch for a week and a half. They couldn't win a damn game. So, anyways, 9.5 is a lot of points. Auburn's a weird team. I don't know it. Like, I don't know who Auburn is. I don't know if Bruce Pearl knows who Auburn is.
They're not as good as they've been the last 3 or 4 years.
And they're very inconsistent.
They're not on that level.
Too. Like, they're just you don't know what you're gonna get. They could be good. Like any given Tuesday, Saturday, whatever, like they could show up, but they could have some bad games too. So look, I if I had to bet anything, it'd be Tennessee or nothing. And it might be Auburn team total under or nothing. Like I could see Tennessee's defense having serious effort in that game. So yeah, it's my thoughts. Thought back to you. What do you got?
So this is only this shows that they've had a soft schedule because Auburn doesn't look like a 17-5 team, but this is only the second time they've been an underdog. They were, and the first time was last week at West Virginia when they covered. They lost by 3 as a 4-point dog. Just some notes I have: the over is on a 12-3 run for Auburn this season in its last 15 games. Until last year, Auburn, Bruce Pearl had beaten his former school 6 times in a row, both straight up and against the spread. But Tennessee ended that last year with a 67-62 win as a 3-point home favorite. I'll also point out the over is 9-1 in the last 10 in this rivalry. Illinois, who I mentioned at Iowa, they have won 5 in a row over Iowa, going 3-2 against the spread. We don't have any kind of numbers for Florida, Kentucky yet, but if the total is in the 130s, I would say if it's 132 or higher, I like the under. The under's on a 12-2 run for Florida. I said on my podcast yesterday, Kansas State, if they are 3 or fewer at home to Texas, I will love Kansas State. And I can't believe it opened at only 1. Absolutely love Keontae Johnson and the Wildcats. Nice bounce back spot. They lost Monday to Kansas, but it was a revenge game for Kansas. And yeah, just tip of the cap to Kansas. As for Carolina and Duke, both teams have just been major disappointments. They've been terrible to the number. Carolina's only 7-14-1 against the spread. Duke is 8-14 against the spread, but Duke is undefeated at home. Like I'm not going to bet Duke. Well, I just don't think they're that good. But if I had to pick it, I'd probably lean Duke. I'm not taking Duke because I can't root for Duke and never will. The over is on a 7-0 run in this rivalry, and Carolina's won 4 of the last 5, both straight up and against the spread, including those 2 to Coach K as farewell at Cameron. beat it. You're beat by your rival. And then his final game ever in the Final Four. And it was just fitting because he did his little cute farewell tour because he wanted all this attention. And his assistant coaches would not shake Hubert Davis's hand after the first game in Chapel Hill because they were irate that they didn't have an ass kissing fest in honor of Coach K at the
Yeah,
Dean
they didn't
Dome.
play a video for him at their court. Like
Insanity.
Like
This is supposed to be the best rivalry in all sports, and you're pissed we didn't do a little farewell video for you? Get out of here.
Dude, get out of here, dude. Like, I'm with you. Like, what the hell? What the hell is that? You know?
Yeah, it was terrible. All right, couple more things, and I'm done. The over is on a 12-0 run for Wake Forest. Now the last two, it's taken buzzer beaters to get the over. So I'm not saying like automatically play Wake's over tomorrow. We don't even know what the number
So
is.
I shouldn't have just got a 6 mortgage.
No, please don't. Please don't. We don't know what the number is. It might be 160. For Clemson tomorrow, Brevin Galloway, questionable, averages 10.6 points per game. For Kentucky tomorrow night, Cason Wallace, questionable, averages 11.3 points per game. Kentucky's won 7 of the last 8 against the Gators, going 6-2 against the spread. The under's on a 7-1 run in Florida Kentucky games. And Miami might probably going to be a short underdog to Clemson. Clemson's undefeated at home, but Miami as an underdog is 3-0 against the spread with 1 outright win. I'd love for Clemson to be laying like 4 or more. I'd like Miami, but I got a feeling it's going to be pick 'em or Clemson.
Clemson's coming off a stinker as well.
Yeah, they
Awful.
are. Yeah,
Awful.
that was terrible at BC. Gross.
Yeah, gross. Yeah. All right. That's what we got.
All right.
Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be live next Friday, same time, 2 p.m. Central, to break down all of your final Super Bowl 57 best bets, NBA, college basketball, you name it, and more. But until then, everybody, best of luck. Let's cash these tickets. We'll see you next week.
Good luck, everybody.